How did you first get involved in ice hockey?
First got involved in ice hockey. Well, the first organized hockey I played was in 1951. We won a premiership. This was in Canada. I was only 12 at the time, or thereabouts. But I started skating when I was about 6. We lived on a farm pond, as we all had farm ponds. It was about a mile from the house, so we used to put our skates on in the house. Winter time, it was a bit cool, run through the snow, and skate all day and play shinny, as we called it, on the farm pond, with my 3 older brothers who used to continually knock me over and think it was a big joke.
It made you tougher.
Well, I guess it made me want to defend myself. Very early on, I learned if you're the hit-or rather than the hit-ee, that it often works very well for you.
So what were some of your early memories of playing the game?
Early memories, well, I guess early memories were back in Canada, and our country town, we lived in a country town, was only about 600 people, so everybody played sport. I guess like most like Australia, everybody plays sport in country towns here, and we played Saturdays and Sundays most of the time, and I guess that's why we always developed an early liking and probably being better in sport, because we spent so much time on the ice. That's part of the problem we have in Australia, because the kids growing up have an hour or 2 hours a week. We probably had more like 10 hours a week, and that was when we were 10 or 12, so we developed, good skating ability early on, at an early age.
Was the game more physical in your day compared to today?
Yes, it was. It was more physical because we didn't have the coaching that they've got today. In fact, my 2 grandsons are down, and they're 7 and 5, and the coaching they're getting and the drills that they're doing at the Development Council, they're just phenomenal. They're doing drills, not our little guys, but at 10 and 12, that the Australian team in my day weren't doing. And so, of course, if you have the skills, you don't need to resort to the physical side nearly as much. When I came up, we used to intimidate. That was probably because that masked our lack of ability. And really, the game, and people who saw hockey in the old days, there was a lot more physical contact because people didn't have those basic skills.
It's been said that you yourself were quite physical on the ice, resort having quite a number of fights. Is that a fair comment?
Probably only a rumor. I think that's exaggerated. I used to talk to the opposition all the time on the ice. I felt if you're going to hit them, the best thing is you let them know you're coming, and that way they would probably try and defend themselves. We had a rule in hockey that you couldn't hit anybody unless they had the puck. So one of my tricks, I go in the corner and I'd pass them the puck, and as soon as I got the puck, I'd hit them. And we had a referee at the time, this was back in the 70s, and very early 70s and 60s at St. Moritz. And Frank Gladwell was the guy, and he's one of the doyens of refereeing back in our day. And he always knew what he was doing, but he couldn't really catch me at it. So we had a little game to play, Anyway, that was part of those memories, I guess.
Was hockey an old family affair in your day?
Yes, I was youngest of 4 boys, and even from back at the farm pond days, everybody played in our town. Everybody played hockey. My 3 older brothers all played hockey, and I stuck with it. Being farmers, we worked 7 days. We were dairy farmers. We worked 7 days a week, and we all had chores to do from the time we could walk. And so I guess my mother was bound I wasn't going to spend my life on the farm, and so she always took me to hockey and encouraged me. The other guys got involved in other pursuits. So it really was a family affair.
What are some of your favourite stories? Maybe a road trip story or a...
Oh, now you know that what goes in the road stays in the road. But a couple of stories. Look, I was thinking about that, and we used to have a lot of good times playing Goodall Cup. That was the interstate, and people will know the Goodall Cup. And in the early days, it was really just Sydney and Melbourne, or New South Wales and Victoria. And we used to play up at Prince Alfred Park, which was an open-air ice rink in Sydney back in those days. And oftentimes there was water in the ice. And one very famous night, first game, there was about 3 or 4 inches of water in the ice, so they decided to call the game off. So we all went to the local club. And then the water was taken off the ice, and the president of the federation, a guy called John Purcell at the time, he was Victorian, he was up there at the national tournament, and he said, "No, they've got to play the game." And so they had all round us out of the pub, and by the time they got everybody, New South Wales, I think we played about 1 o'clock in the morning. And most of us were we'd been a bit thirsty, and it was a wonderful, wonderful game. Guys falling over, and it was played in very good spirit, I can assure you. That was one wonderful memory. I guess another memory was this guy called Peter Nixon, and he was playing with us, and he broke his arm. And he wouldn't go, he had no money, and he wouldn't go to the doctor and get it set. So we were, in those days, we used to bus it for most places. And he sat all night in a bus trip back to Melbourne with his arm in a piece of cardboard and trying to hold him. And the pain he was in, it was just unbelievable. But that was just, I don't know if it's a favorite story or not, but that's just a couple of the stories that happened.
What would be the most magical moment you can remember about hockey?
Oh, well, I had a lot of magic moments. I thought about that too, and I guess the most magical moment for me personally was I was captain of Australia, and we were playing in Barcelona. 1979 or something like that. And the King of Spain presented me with a doll because I was the oldest guy in the tournament, and that was a very proud moment for me. And I suppose the other proud moment was the first time I represented Australia, it was in Japan, and to stand on the ice. And of course, they didn't play a Advanced Australia Fair because in those days, everybody thought the Australian anthem was Waltzing Matilda. But to stand there with the guys, and the first time you're playing for your country, and I was a citizen at the time of Australia, and to have that is just unbelievable. I think everybody in the whole team was crying. We didn't cry very long, but we sure cried when they played that. It's a magic moment, I can really assure you. And I played for Australia many times, and that was the first time was always the best, you know.
What has it meant for you personally to be involved in ice hockey?
Well, I'm sure the other guys you've interviewed, it's part of my life. It's been a large part of my life. I've been playing now for a number of years, I guess, as I say, really since 1951. And it's probably taken up that much of my life. My family's involved. My two boys have played hockey. My wives, they've watched hockey. They're involved. I'm still playing, and playing with the Night Owls, which is the past players or players who never were or once were. But so, yeah, it's probably 40% of my life. Most of my friends in life are through ice hockey. And we sit around after our games on Sunday night, and we tell the same stories we've been telling for 40 years, and they're just as good as they were 40 years ago.
It's fair to say you've made a lot of friends through hockey.
Oh, yes, a lot of friends, yes.
What message would you like to pass on to future generations?
Well, the thing is, I think that the message to future generations, hockey will rise again. We've got a new rink coming, as I'm sure you've mentioned before. At one stage through my time, we had 5 rinks. I'm sure you've heard that before. Hockey was growing. At one stage, we had, I think it was almost 700 players registered in Victorian. 700 players. We had 5 rinks, and it was booming. Most of the clubs had 2A grade sides, 2B grade sides, and then for all sorts of reasons, we're now, and we have done for some years, as you know, playing with 1 rink. But with the new rink at the Docklands, the hockey will rise again. Any sport will, with the amenities that come on. So yeah, it's going to be good. It will be another good time for ice hockey.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No, just that I've enjoyed hockey. It's, as I said, a large part of my life, and I guess I'll play it until one of my best friends in life was on hockey. He died just off the ice, and probably that's where we're all going to be. The Night Owls, we've got, as you know, we've got a couple of guys who are 80 years old. I'm just about to turn 70. We've got a couple other guys who are 70, and we'll play till I guess we can't do upper skates, which is all part of the fun of being on a team sport.